great thing about this computer is that the case wasn't even screwed shut, thus I was simply able to pull off the side panel and get inside in record time. Since I was just opening up these computers for fun, I really had no set procedure. I just kind of opened things in whichever way I felt. So in this case, I took out the power supply first by removing the 4 screws on the back. I then pulled the unit to the side and began removing all of those wires that I could spot. I did notice that this computer had memory in it, so I took that out before removing the case fan. We do have a newer style of memory here, known as DDR2, so this computer is definitely more modern than the others featured up to this point. So yeah, I now remove the fan by taking out another 4 screws on the back of the case as well. Usually these fans are placed right under the power supply. Okay, so now that I have the fan out, I just unplug a little connector on the motherboard to fully remove that fan. Now, I just continue with unplugging the rest of the power supply and also take out the first SATA cables of the series, which are those red cables there. Now, no cards were installed in this fairly colorful motherboard, so we just go straight to unscrewing the motherboard and liberating it from the case. And looking at this motherboard, I do want to say that I really like that blue color. Now the CPU is a little tricky to remove, so I set that aside for later. The next thing we focus on are the drives that were left in the computer. So first thing I do is remove one of those screws holding our drive in place. And then, with the removal of 2 small bolts holding the other panel in place, we can take that out, and once the panel is removed, we can now take out the other screw to get our DVD drive, which just happens to slide right out the front. We do have a small multimedia bay installed in the front of our computer, so to get that out, we remove some additional screws, one on both sides. So once that is out, this will allow us to get a small board with a little bit of wiring. Now, with everything removed in this board and in the computer itself, we take out the front panel by pulling from the bottom of the computer, and we rip out the wiring. This just had our power button and various LEDs attached to it. Now, focusing on the motherboard, we just depressed on some tabs. You can see some gray thermal paste which may contain some silver, so you can save that for silver recovery if you choose. In addition, we got ourselves a small socket fiber CPU. With that, let's take a look at what we got. We have our screws, some SATA cabling, a power supply, 2 very dusty fans, with an equally dusty media bay. You can see another side profile there, as well as a very colorful motherboard, 2 1GB DDR2 sticks which may have some resale value, a bulky heatsink, as well as an Intel Celeron processor. Now, I didn't show the back of the CPU, but this is our first example of a pinless processor, meaning there are just gold contacts on the chip itself, with all the pins being in the socket itself. Pretty low value stuff, but it makes the processor quite pretty to look at. So here's a photo of the bottom of it so you can see what I mean. Just a grid of dots. But yeah, other than that, not a lot this time. Regardless, we did get some value and it all adds up. So I hope you stick around for the next video, and with that, thank you so much for watching.